Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Nuggets of Wisdom. Be a Modern Master with Deborah King. We're on part 7, Initiation. Initiation is a very advanced topic, not typically addressed in either Western or Eastern mystery schools these days, and I've studied and taught in both. Until you've been studying for at least a year or two, but the guidance in my meditations has been loud and clear that this is what I'm supposed to talk about with you. I can only assume that you are part of a very advanced group and that you may very well be ready for initiation. I'm not talking about initiation as a rite of passage, like confirmation or baptism or a bar mitzvah. The type of initiation I am referring to is a basic step up in your awareness and understanding along the path of spiritual development. It is a process that reconnects you with Source, one level at a time, so you can gradually accommodate the vibrations of the higher energy levels you are receiving. Usually, a spiritual initiation is part of the process of being guided to a deeper understanding of the workings of consciousness. A facilitator transfers spiritual power, or Shakti, to the one who receives the initiation. Back when I was a young mystery school teacher, it wasn't unusual to have maybe 4 or 5 students out of a class of 50 be initiated during the 4-year program. Around the year 2000, I noticed that more initiations were happening. Someone could have several initiations not just in one lifetime, but in 1 year. In fact, personally, I had 3 initiations in 1 year. You can't force an initiation. What you can do is build a strong foundation, exactly like the foundation you're building with your sutra practice. Meditation, prayer, being outside in nature, or anything that aligns your mind, body, and spirit, like the sutras do, they're all great ways to be ready for an initiation. Sometimes I can see a student has initiatory energy above their head, ready to download, but there is no base for it. A spiritual practice, like a regular and effective meditation practice, is necessary. That and doing your best to be of service to others.
Hi, Vicky. You sweet little sweetie pie. My love bug.
Let me show you my little love bug.
Say hi. Hi, everybody. I'm Pikachu. My name is Pikachu.
It's my Pika. The first 2 initiations often happen spontaneously without any big fanfare. The first and second level initiations can occur without any outside assistance from a facilitator like me, and they can take place anywhere. You might have had one at the birth of a child, or at the death of a loved one, or perhaps a sudden aha moment while doing yoga asanas. I'll tell you all about the higher levels in our next chapter together. There is a good possibility that you're ripe for a higher initiation if you're doing your best to see your life problems as challenges, not obstacles, and you don't blame others for your situation or see yourself as a victim. If you don't go into bitterness or jealousy when things aren't the way you want them, and if you have a sincere desire to help others. Ultimately, we are all one. Absolute oneness can only be realized by direct experience, not by our thinking minds. You came from Source, and you will one day return to Source. Even an initiatory experience of the One is only a quick glimpse into that reality, not the end of the line. However, an initiation will connect you to that oneness to some degree or another, and it will fulfill your longing to be connected to the source. The Book of Job. An initiation can come about after a long period of despair. Edgar Cayce, the sleeping medium, gave readings while in trance in which he said that Melchizedek wrote the Book of Job, quite possibly the oldest book of the Bible, which Madame Blavatsky described as a complete representation of ancient initiation and the trials that could precede it. In other words, the Book of Job is a story of initiation. Job is an upright man, with a family and good friends and enough wealth to be content with his lot. God singles Job out for approval, but Satan objects, declaring that Job is good only because of self-interest. So God gives Satan the task of testing Job's faith. Satan systematically strips away Job's home, family, and wealth, yet Job still blesses the name of the Lord. Satan isn't done quite yet. He is allowed to give Job another test, but not take his life. Even with boils all over his body, Job recognizes the good that comes from the hand of God. But eventually his misery is so great that he curses the day he was born and rails against God. His 3 remaining friends respond when Job denounces his fate. None of them can console Job, even though they cannot answer Job's question of what horrible transgression he is being punished for so severely. Job is a character much like Arjuna, who is the hero of the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna is in despair because he has to face and possibly kill his beloved tutors, friends, and relatives in a fierce battle. You have to shed your old psychological and mental attachments and go to war with the tendencies of your lower nature. When you are called upon to give up your attachments to the world, you may be filled with despair at what you think you are going to lose. As the story of Job continues, Elihu is a young Hierophant priest who offers wisdom to Job and says that there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty giveth them understanding. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says it this way: whatever pathway a man takes, that path is mine. Elihu prepares Job for initiation by explaining that when he is quiet and receptive, then his inner divinity can speak. Pain and suffering don't come from spirit, they originate with man, and Satan is merely the shadow of the light of God. When Job finally accepts that Elihu says and understands that spirit was not responsible, as he had thought, for the evils that befall humanity, God appears to Job and shows him the wonders of creation. Job is initiated into a higher level of spiritual wisdom. Ego problems with initiation. Every initiatory level brings with it a higher level of responsibility. From that moment on, you are to become even more in service, and you receive broader powers so you can do your part in this time of world crisis. With the increased power comes the temptation to go into ego, so you're constantly fighting to stay humble as you are given more and more power. This can be very difficult. After all, initiations are a big ego boost. It's like the spirit is saying, I am well pleased with you. Isn't that what you're really secretly craving? The ultimate approval that you once tried to get from your parents? It's like the voice coming from heaven after Jesus is baptized. This is my son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. This caused two big problems with egos. The first is wanting an initiation too much. The more you want one, the further away it seems to go. If you want an initiation for the wrong reasons, like to boost your status or to feel spiritually higher than others, I guarantee you'll never have one. Initiations simply won't happen. The only time I've ever had them is when I've completely forgotten about myself and just been in full service. Then wham, another one comes out of the blue. The second problem concerns losing an initiation. Scary as that thought is, it's true. And once an initiation is lost, it's much, much harder to gain. My experience is that you will be given three tests in the weeks or months after an initiation. If you fail all three tests, Spirit takes away your new awareness. I saw it happen to one of my most gifted spiritual teachers. He was hands down one of the most clairvoyant people I'd ever worked with. One day he took a big initiation, and after that, he found he could conduct healing energy. This new power became a real big ego problem. Before the end of the year, he had totally lost not only his new healing ability, but also his clairvoyance. He never got back either gift. What a humbling experience. I'll tell you my own embarrassing initiation story. I had been working for about 4 years with a shaman as his apprentice. While I was home for the summer, I had a major initiation with all the bells and whistles, with the assistance of a guide back in my hometown. I was secretly sorry it had happened during summer vacation. I would have rather it had happened when I was with the shaman and in front of the other apprentices. Talk about having a problem with pride. Mine was huge. When I came back to my apprenticeship after summer vacation, I stupidly bragged to my fellow apprentices all about my big initiation. Several days later, the head shaman came back and, of course, saw my big ego like I had a giant sign on my forehead. He promptly took me out of the healing room and demoted me to work in the kitchen for a full year. Very, very humbling. But thanks to the shaman's quick action, I didn't lose the initiation. While I had failed the first test that Spirit had sent me to keep my mouth shut about my initiation, the subsequent tests I saw coming, and I stayed humble. We will revisit this topic in our next chapter when we talk about the levels of initiation. Now, back to the sutras, which are in themselves an initiatory experience. That concludes part 7 of Be a Modern Master. I will see you in part 8.